What you will learn for today is all about laws of exponent, but this time, we'll be dealing with rational exponent. So later, i-explain ko kung ano yung rational exponents. But before that, let's try to recall. Last time, we studied about integral exponent. So ito yung mga expression natin na mayroong exponent na integers. So we have the negative numbers, 0, and also the positive numbers. Ito nga yung mga example na diniscuss natin. But for today, we'll be dealing with rational exponent. So rational exponent are having the same notation, but this time, our exponent is a rational number. So ano nga ba yung rational numbers? Actually, si rational numbers is a bigger umbrella than integers. Part niya lang si integer. But ang dapat unang pumapasok sa isip natin when it comes to rational numbers are ratios or in other words, fractions. So ito yung merong mga expression na katulad nito. So we have P over Q. Mukhang fraction ng rational number. So P could be an integer and Q or the denominator could be a non-zero integer. So hindi siya pwede maging zero because when your denominator becomes zero, our whole ratio will become undefined. So that is an example of a rational numbers expression. So actually, yung rational numbers natin, pwede rin siyang present sa ating number line. So katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, mas malaki or nasa ilalim lang ng ating rational number itong integer. So integer is also a rational number. So, makikita mo dyan, may negative 1, positive 2. So, it could be positive or negative din. At the same time, mas common na makikita nyo when it comes to rational numbers are the fraction or the ratio. So, we have, for example, negative 5 over 3, uh, negative 1 over 5, 2 over 3, 13 over 8. Those are rational numbers. So, yan ngayon yung makikita mong value ng ating mga exponent for our following examples. Now, ano ba yung mga example nung expression na mayroong rational exponent? So, we have here some examples such as 3 raised to 1 half, x raised to negative 3 over 4, and negative 2a raised to 7 over 2. So, yan yung mga examples natin ng rational exponent. Now, ang pag-aaralan natin for today is dealing with this rational exponent when it comes to laws of exponent. Okay, let's start with this first law of exponent, the product rule. Sana naalala nyo pa. So, here's when you will be having a raised to m times a raised to n is equal to a raised to m plus n. Ito yung example natin wherein if we are having same bases and they are multiplied to each other, all you need to do is to add their exponent. So, ayan yung nangyayari. Ginawa na natin to nung dun sa ating integral exponent. But this time, let's try some examples that applies wherein we'll be having rational exponent. So let's have example number 1. X raised to 3 over 5 times x raised to 1 over 5. So once again, they have the same bases and they are being multiplied to each other. So anong gagawin natin? All we need to do is to add their exponent. So kapag ang given natin na rational exponents are having fraction with the same denominator, so we call it similar fraction, pwede natin silang i-add using the numerator and we just need to copy the denominator. So, paano yun? All we need to do is to add 3 plus 1, that will be equal to 4. So, the sum will be equal to 4 over 5. So, add lang natin yan. So, this will be equal to 4 over 5. Therefore, our answer is x raised to 4 over 5. So, yan. Madali lang, di ba? Yan. Next example tayo. Next, we'll have here 2 raised to 1 half times 2 raised to 1 third. As you can see, we'll still have the same bases, 2, and they are being multiplied to each other. Therefore, we can still apply product rule. So, anong gagawin natin dyan? Copy the base, 2, and then add their exponent. So, we have now 1 half plus 1 third. So, paano natin sila i-add? Ito ay example ng isang fraction na dissimilar. That means their denominator is not the same. So, hindi natin pwedeng gayahin yung ginawa natin sa number 1 kung saan i-add lang yung numerator, okay na. Ito kasi, parehas yung base nila sa number 1. Sa number 2, magkaiba. So, ganito yung gagawin natin. May shortcut. Kung nakalimutan nyo na mag-add ng fraction, shortcut natin is ito. All you need to do is to follow this pattern. So, lagay mo na agad the operation is plus and then lagyan ka na ng space na parang ganyan. Meron dalawa sa taas na ina-add and then isa sa baba. So, all you need to do is to multiply this direction. 3 times 1, that will be equal to 3. 2 times 1, that will be equal to 2. And then yung nasa baba naman, multiply natin. 2 times 3 is equal to 6. At magkakaroon ka ng expression na katulad niyan. So, we have 2 raised to 3 plus 2 over 6. Now, if we add them, the answer is equal to 5. Therefore, our answer is 2 raised to 5 over 6. Okay, let's go to the next law of exponent, and that is the quotient rule. So the quotient rule says a raised to m all over a raised to n is equal to a raised to m minus n. So ito naman, para lang din siyang product rule, but this time they are being divided. So if you have the same bases being divided to each other, isusubtract mo lang yung exponent nila. So parang m minus n. Now, how do we apply this having rational exponent? So this will be the following examples. If we have y raised to 4 over 5 all over y raised to 1 over 5. So as you can see, pares yung base nila. So pwede nating isubtract yung exponent nila para ma-simplify. So gagawin natin, let's just copy y and then we subtract 4 over 5 minus 3 over 5. In this case, kung makikita nyo, similar fraction na naman sila. So pwede nating isubtract na lang yung kanilang numerator and then copy lang natin yung denominator to get their difference. So 4 minus 1 is equal to 3. Therefore, this will just be y raised to 3 over 5. Next. Next naman tayo example. So we have a raised to 2 all over a raised to 1 half. In this case, we'll still be having the same bases. So pwede ulit natin i-subtract yung exponent nila. So we have a raised to 2 minus 1 half. So as you can see, si 2 mukhang hindi naman siya rational number. 'Di ba? But actually, this 2 is still a rational number. So para mas makita mo, automatically, lagyan natin siya ng over 1. So, as you can see here, nilagay ulit natin yung note na yun but because kung makikita nyo, magkaiba sila ng denominator. Ito ay 1, ito ay 2. So, hindi lang natin pwedeng isubtract yung numerator nila and then copy the denominator because this is an example of a dissimilar fraction. So, anong gagawin natin? So, gawin ulit natin yung ginawa natin kanina sa previous example. So, first, parang nagko-cross multiply ka lang. 2 times 2, 4. 1 times 1, 1. And then, huwag yung kalimutan subtraction yung operation natin. So, minus dapat yung nakalagay dyan. And then, yung nasa baba naman, 1 times 2 is 2. So, yan na yung magiging expression natin. So, we have a raised to 4 minus 1 all over 2. If you subtract 4 minus 1, that will just be equal to 3. Therefore, our answer is a raised to 3 over 2. Okay, let's go to the third law of exponent, and that will be power of a power rule. So in this given, we have a given expression that is being raised two or more times. So kung dito makita nyo, it's raised to m raised to n na siya. So a raised to m raised to n. So all we need to do is to get the product of the exponent and then same base pa rin, a raised to m times n. So let's try to have some examples of this one having rational exponent. So we have the given c raised to 5 raised to 1/3. Yan, kung titignan nyo, there's a combination of a whole number and a fraction. So all of them are under rational number. So what do we need to do? Yes, multiply their exponent. So 5 times 1 over 3. But in this case, para hindi ka malito, lagyan mo si 5 ng over 1. Kasi ang rule natin ng multiplication of fractions will be numerator times numerator over denominator times denominator. Or taas times taas, baba times baba. So here, you just need to multiply 5 times 1 and then on the bottom, that will be 1 times 3. So that will be 5 times 1 is equal to 5 and then 1 times 3 is equal to 3. So our answer will be c raised to 5 over 3. Okay, next example tayo. So in this case, we have b raised to 2 over 3 raised to 1 half. So ganun pa rin yung gagawin natin. Since it is raised twice, i-multiply lang natin yung dalawang exponent niya na 2/3 tsaka 1 half. So 2 times 1 is and 3 times 2 at the bottom. So 2 times 1 is equal to 2 and then 3 times 2 is equal to 6. So our exponent will be 2 over 6 or b raised to 2 over 6 yung ating magiging exponent ay or ating magiging answer for this one. But if you take a look at the exponent 2 over 6, that is not having its simplest form or lowest term. So, paano nga ulit tayo kumukuha ng lowest term? We are just having or we'll just be dividing these two numbers 2 and 6 into its GCF. So, ano ba yung GCF ng 2 at saka ng 6? That would be 2. So, i-divide natin sila parehas kay 2 para makuha yung lowest term nila, and that will be 2 divided by 2 is 1, and then 6 divided by 2 is 3. So, our final answer will be b raised to 1/3. Okay, let's discuss now our fourth law of exponent, and that will be power of quotient rule. So, in this case, ito yung meron tayong expression na magkaiba man yung base, pero the quotient of a raised to m over b raised to n is being raised to k. So, ang gagawin lang natin dyan is i-distribute si k kay m tsaka kay n. So, a raised to m all over b raised to n. Quantity raised to k is the same as a raised to m times k over b raised to n times k. So, let's try to have some examples having this power of a quotient rule, pero ang exponent natin ay rational. Now, we have x raised to 2 all over y raised to 1/4 quantity raised to 1/3. So, ganun pa rin yung gagawin natin process. We just need to distribute 1/3 to this 2, and then si 1/3 multiply din natin kay 1/4 sa denominator's exponent. So, we have x raised to 2 times 1/3 all over y raised to 1/4 times 1/3. So, ito yung ating exponent na 1/3. Dinistribute siya dun sa taas na exponent tsaka dun sa baba na exponent. Now, we just need to get the product. Dun sa taas, lagyan natin ng over 1 si 2. So, we can just multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So, the product of the top will just be 2 times 1 over 1 times 3. And then sa baba naman is 1 times 1 over 4 times 3. So, just need to get the product of both of this. This one will be 2 over 3. And then yung product dito sa exponent nung nasa baba is 1 over 4 times 3 is 12. So, yan lang. So, our answer will be x raised to 2/3 all over y raised to 1 over 12. Okay, let's go to the second example. So, we have now the given x raised to 1/2 all over y quantity raised to 2 or squared. So, in this case, ganun pa rin yung process natin. Katulad ng sinabi ko sa inyo last time, kapag wala kayong exponent na nakita, it's automatically 1. So, sulat nyo para hindi kayo malito. Now, we just need to distribute that 2 sa 1/2 tsaka kay 1. So, ito yung magiging itsura niya. 1/2 times 2 and then 1 times 2 naman doon sa exponent ni y. So, lagyan ulit natin ng over 1 si 2 para hindi tayo malito because ang fraction natin will be having 2 times 1 times 2 and then 2 times 1 naman sa denominator. And then dito madali lang 1 times 2. So we'll be having this product expression. So multiply natin yung taas 1 times 2 and then 2 times 1 naman sa denominator ni x, ang exponent ni x, and then sa baba naman is 1 times 2. So we have now x raised to 2 over 2 all over y raised to 2. So kung titignan nyo, 2 over 2 will just be equal to 1. Therefore, our final answer will just be equal to x over y squared. So, bakit x na lang? Wala na exponent naman. Di ba kapag 1 lang naman yung exponent, kahit hindi mo na siya ilagay. Okay, let's go to the fifth law of exponent, wherein we will apply a rational exponent. Yan. So, power of product rule. Ito naman parang power of quotient rule, pero nakamultiply yung dalawang expression. So, if you have the given a raised to m times b raised to n, quantity raised to k, yan, ang gagawin lang natin is we have to distribute k for n tsaka kay m. So, the expression will be a raised to m times k times b raised to n times k. So, let's have example number 1. Yan. We have the given x raised to 1/2 times y raised to 1/4 quantity raised to 4. So, in this case, we just need to distribute 4 kay 1/2 tsaka kay 1/4. So, ito yung magiging expression niya. We just need to multiply that 4. So, ang mangyayari is 1/2 times 4. Yun, ito siya, yung nauna. And then, 1/4 times 4. Ito naman yung pangalawa. So, Para hindi ka ulit malito, lagyan natin ng denominator na 1 sa parehas na 4. So we have 1 half times 4 over 1 and then 1/4 times 4 over 1. So dito sa unahan, we'll just need to multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. Then 2 times 1 is 2. So we have 4 over 2. In this case, we can divide 4 over 2. That will just be equal to 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So ang exponent natin kay x will be 2. And then pagdating naman kay y, we have 4 over 4. That will be equal to 1. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. So, ang exponent natin kay y ay magiging 1. So, this will be our final answer. X squared y. So, bakit y na lang yan? Because its exponent is just 1. Okay, let's go to example number 2. We have the given 2 times a raised to 1/2 times b raised to 2/3 quantity raised to 1/3. So once again, kapag walang exponent, kahit number pa yan or constant number, let's put 1 para hindi nakakalito. And we have 1/2 and then 2/3. Diyan natin i-distribute si 1/3. So dito kay 1, dito kay 1/2 ni A, and then kay 2/3 ni B. So we'll now have 2 raised to 1 times 1/3, and then A raised to 1/2 times 1/3, B raised to 2/3 times 1/3. So ganito lang gagawin natin dyan. 1 times 1/3, that will just be 1/3. So ito yung maging answer natin. 1 times 1/3 is 1/3. Then 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. So A raised to 1 over 6. 2 times 2, 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 3 is 9. So that's B raised to 2 over 9. So naka-simplest form naman yung exponent nila. So our answer is 2 raised to 1/3 times A raised to 1/6 times B raised to 2 over 9. Okay, let's proceed to the next law of exponent, and that will be zero exponent. So dito, any expression raised to 0 will just be equal to 1. So madali lang yung mga example dito. Let's have two examples. For example, we have a raised to 4 over 13, quantity raised to 0. Naka-raise kay 0 yung buong expression. So this will just be equal to 1. Even if you have this somehow kind of complicated expression, 3 raised to 1/3 times x raised to 1/2 raised to 0, this will still be equal to 1. Okay, let's go to the last law of exponent that we'll be discussing, and that will be the negative exponent. This is wherein if the exponent is negative, for example, a raised to negative n, all you need to do is to get the reciprocal of the given expression, and you can get the exponent that is positive. Another case, we can also have denominator that is having a negative exponent. So, lagay mo lang siya sa taas. So, ito ay over 1, kaya siya naging a raised to n over 1 or a raised to n na lang. So, as we continue, let's try to have some examples. So, here we have x raised to negative 2/3. Just to make it positive, all we need to do is to put that expression to the denominator, so it will become 1 over x raised to 2/3. So, an isang example pa is if you have now 1 over y raised to negative 1 over 6, gagawin mo naman, lalagay mo siya sa taas just to make the exponent positive. So, it will become y raised to 1 over 6. Yan. Next is kapag naman ganito yung expression. So, gagawin natin, baliktarin lang natin siya. So, if we have the given a raised to negative 7 over 8 all over b raised to negative 4 over 3. So, ito yung magiging sagot natin. Lalagay natin sa taas, positive na yung 4 over 3. Lagay natin sa baba, positive na yung 7 over 8.